You've just returned from China on a big shoot, on a film. What equipment did you use?
Do you want the whole list?
Yeah, the list. Let's do the list. Let's run through it.
Okay. Well, all my gear gets shipped in HPRC hard cases. So I ship 5 cases. The cameras that I use, a D90 comes with me with my carry-on. In case anything goes missing in shipping, then I know that I've got a very good camera that can get me through a couple of days of work. Then I have a D300 because I like the DX format and I need that for action films. I have a D700, which is my lightweight kit, and because I can strip it down, take the drive off it, and also it goes in my underwater housing. I have 2 D3s, and they are for my action. You know, I can get a 9-10 frames a second out of them, so that's perfect.
Well, a lot of people at home are not going to have as amazing setup as you do.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get into some sort of tips and tricks. So if you're at home and you're just starting out with digital photography, what sort of kit do you suggest that people start off with an SLR?
This is so easy. I mean, so we're talking DSLR. Mm-hmm. There's so many in the market now. I can only talk about Nikon because that's all I know. Yep. It's not because I don't want to talk about anything else. And of course, I'm a Nikon ambassador.
Of course.
But all the brands have a camera these days is pretty much a piece of bling. It's what's going to look good hanging around your neck. There's certain little factors which make one better than the other, and that also goes towards your style of photography. For me, Nikon works best because it has such a fantastic low light capability, and my whole life, being action films, is governed by shutter speed, so I need the highest shutter speed that I can get at any given moment. Now, you get a D90, which I've already spoken about, which I can do my job on quite perfectly for a few days, a D5000, D3000, these are all fantastic cameras. And don't forget that these little cameras are quite often the testing ground for the professional models. So the enthusiast out there is actually doing my hard ground testing for me to see whether this works and whether it's going to be worth putting into a later model. Classic example of that is the D90 with D-Movie. It's now in the brand new Nikon D3S. And without the testing ground of the D90 with the D-Movie, well, then that would never have happened.
Definitely. So what about glass? I know one of your favourite lenses is the 85 1.4.
Yes, it is.
So, I mean, that's quite an expensive lens for a lot of people to start off with especially, and most people are only getting kit lenses like an 18 to 55 and sort of not moving beyond that. I mean, how are you going to go about getting the best shot out of, say, a kit lens or a lens that's sort of maybe not as expensive as the ones that you're using?
Well, it's not that difficult. My lenses are fantastic in low light, and the 85 1.4 is my little baby. She's been there with me for nearly 20 years, I guess. But on my D90, for example, I have an 18 to 200 VR, and that lens is absolutely spectacular it's probably the most versatile lens out of any range, and I do my work on that. I mean, like I shoot action segments with sequences with that lens.
Now, a lot of people that are starting to shoot with HD video on
Yes.
DSLRs, you need fast memory cards. So you use very fast cards, of course, but a lot of consumers and people who are just starting out aren't going to need something that fast. What sort of tips and tricks can you pass on about using memory cards effectively?
Well, you know, you say that you shouldn't, you know, a lot of people don't spend the money. You should actually spend the money. I'm lucky enough to use the SanDisk Pro range of extreme cards, which shoot at 90 meg per second, which is just lightning fast. There's also a range under that, which is the standard extreme, which shoot at 60. So it's very hard to fill up your buffer when you've got that read-write speed. And I think it's very, very important to have cards that can handle the D-Movie capabilities in cameras these days, because if you do have a cheaper card, you could run into problems, and that's going to be, you know, that is going to be a problem, so to speak. So I recommend spending the money on decent cards, and there's a number of good manufacturers out there. I just happen to use SanDisk because I believe in their reliability. But spend the money on the cards. It's the same as film. You don't go and buy film from the 7-Eleven down the road. You go and buy good Kodak film and good Fuji film. So you should do the same with your cards. I also recommend using dedicated card readers. it's much faster than anything else that you're going to get, and you won't have the problems. And the other thing is always format your card in your camera. Don't format it in someone else's camera. Don't format it in your computer. Format it in your camera, because that's why the formatting is in that piece of equipment.
So finally, what's the next film that we're going to see your stills images from that's going to be released?
I think Green Zone. Fantastic action film. Paul Greengrass again, Matt Damon, two of my favourites. And it's big action, and there's a few twists and turns and surprises, so
fantastic.
It's going to be a good one to watch.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Jasin, thank you so much for coming in today.
My pleasure.
Thank you.